Hi, I'm Tom Stapleton, Executive Director from the Wakefield Community Access Television Station. And today we have a couple of people here that would like to talk a little bit about one of these books that needs to be recognized. First of all, I'd like to introduce Prakash Jha and Don DeFeo. They're here, and what they're going to be doing is giving us a little heads up about what this book's all about. And as you can see, it's called Blushing in Boston. Very nice book. So what I'd like to do, Prakash, is to start out with a couple of questions and answer them any way you want. But, I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Is this your first book?
It is. It's the first book. But then I have earlier published several articles. They are all in biology domain, mostly in scientific area, and they are in very good, well-known, peer-reviewed international journals. But for the fiction and short story, this is my first book.
This is your first book.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do have other publications besides this book.
Yeah. And they are in some of those leading kind of journals, international ones like Proceedings of National Academy of Science, USA, Biochemistry, Genomics. They're well known.
Okay.
So,
Now you have some qualifications here that should be recognized. Do you want to talk about those?
qualifications in the sense of...
Well, I mean, and the kind of work that you do and what you've been involved with for a while.
Yeah. So I have a PhD in microbiology, and I worked with Tufts School of Medicine, Harvard School, and Forsyth for some time. But then I moved into project management. So currently I'm working with a healthcare company, and I'm a IT project manager.
So the reason I wanted you to talk about some of your background is because it verifies, the book that you've written, and it makes it to sound authentic. It's the word I'm trying to get through.
Yeah, and pretty much I have worked about 26 years now in financial and healthcare industry as well as in academia.
Very good. All right. So what is this book about, and from where did you draw the inspiration to write this book?
The book is, it's written in a very witty style, and it's a collection of 27 short stories. All these are about our life events, snippets from life events, which are funny, memorable, and brings back the memory of good old times. Yeah. So that's all the book is about. And believe it or not, my inspiration came from a very unlikely source. So I was in one of those events where, company events, where Tim Wakefield, our famous knuckleball pitcher from Red Sox, he was the chief guest. And till that time, I had not started writing any stories because I was thinking, I'm major in biology, doing things there. Am I good enough and for fiction writing or not? And Tim Wakefield came out with a very strong line, which I put in the book also. He was saying that a lion and a gazelle, they are in the forest. Lion knows he has to run faster than his slowest gazelle to survive. Gazelle knows she has to run away from lion to survive. Yet, both of them go out in the jungle in the morning. What is the message here? Message is that they are very good writers, great writers. And then there are other writers like me. So I should go as a gazelle and write something and communicate something. So it's inspiration came from him.
Very good example. Now this person to the right of you, Don, how does he fit into this picture?
Don is my neighbor, and he's a great person. And it's unbelievable that his support was behind me. He was encouraging me to write because he also planned to write his book and didn't quite complete. But I just told Don, I will write it and show it to you, and then you can follow me. So, is that right, Don?
That is absolutely right.
So you both have something in common when it comes to the books.
I guess so.
That sounds that way.
Yeah.
How and why did you select the title of this book, Blushing in Boston?
Tom, so you have to be a little catchy in the book title, and people can remember it. And should sort of rhyme and should be unique. So if you really see Blushing in Boston kind of rhymes, it's easy to remember. I did the Google search. It was, it was not hitting many, so it's sort of unique title. And all these stories when I wrote, I'll come back to it later, all that writing happened in Boston. So, I was enjoying writing there, it's kind of blushing, smiling. So that's the way it came up.
Very good. Very good. How long did it take you to write and publish the book, and how did you frame your stories and when?
That's what I was talking about. So it took about me to write about 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a long time because you have full-time work, you come back home, you do write sometime. After 6 weeks, you think it's not really great, so you revise it and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that much time it took. Interestingly, Tom, when you sit in Boston traffic, Wakefield to, let's say, Boston, 11 miles, you have a choice. Either you can keep cursing and get annoyed, or you can do some constructive thinking and enjoy and pass your time. And that's what I did. Whenever I'm stopped, I'm just thinking of some, framing my stories, or during the long flights, when it's very mundane, you don't do much, just at least kind of frame the stories and then work on it later.
Work on it, yeah.
So
you didn't want to waste any time at all.
I wanted to utilize the wasted time, otherwise.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I wish more people would use that type of method, because when they're stuck in traffic, it's not pretty. Some people get really upset,
Yeah, and it's day in and day out,
Yeah.
then you get, kind of.
That's really great. Now, we understand all 27 short stories in the book are dear to you, but which one do you consider your favorite?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because once you have to pick one from there, there's one story, the fourth story in the book, Teenage Love and Laws of Motion. Interesting thing is that, I think I wrote it very well. I was very happy, very witty style, it flow very well. And also because when I ask any of my readers, okay, which story did you like? This happens to be one of them. So that tells me that I have connected very well with the reader in this story, and that's why it's my favorite. Although I think there is one story, number 8, which is Go-Go Jason to Worcester. That's about Boston accent, and a lot of people love it. Don, I don't know what is your feeling there.
Well, you know which one I like the best. It's the first one.
So you like the first one?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, Don.
Andy Six Fingers.
Okay.
Okay, in his preface, Prakash said that if his goal was to make somebody laugh or remember fond memories, well, I read the first story and I started laughing because it brought back many memories of my teenage years. And I said, well, Prakash, you hit the nail on the head that time. You certainly brought back fond memories.
And that, I suppose that's the, that might be exactly what you're trying to do with this book.
Yeah, that's a kind of central theme.
Yeah.
We all have great memories, very fond memories. Many of us sort of, with the passage of time, forget about it. So you have to constantly bring it up. Then you can remember, share with your friends, extended family, and this sort of brings happiness all around. So that's the goal.
Well, it certainly does sound like it's more positive than negative. And it's a lot of negative around these days, but it's good to have something positive to remember.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Now, the stories are rooted in the United States, India, and Scotland. How have you managed to appeal to such a diverse audience?
It is very diverse, I agree. At the heart, at the core, we all human beings, in general, we have the similar social pattern. We get excited and sad about similar things. And most of us, we have a story to tell, but we just don't let it happen. So once you bring all these common facts together, people connect it very well. And that's why I guess, because of that commonality, I thought it will appeal to all of us.
It's a good point, and the next question kind of falls right in line with what you just said. You say the stories will touch readers' hearts and revive a sweet memory. Could you elaborate on this? And I think you have already talked about it, but I'd like to hear a little more.
Yeah, and that's, many of us, and I know my grandfather was a poet, but he passed away very quickly, and I could never see what he wrote and what kind of personality he was. Had he put something in writing, I would have known what kind of person he was. I'm thinking that most, even my father wanted to write a book, but he never completed. So he would tell us the story, and the story of oral tradition, back before we had social media and all other things, that was the way we kind of passed on, stories generation to generation. That was the learning way. So my, again, approach is here that we all have that potential. Let's try to bring it to the paper, because it does sound good if you can narrate, but unless you have something in writing so that somebody can go back after 25 years, 50 years, 100 years. So that was my approach. And all of us, I'm telling you, we have very sweet memories. I don't want to go back to old times and bring up some negative thoughts. All the positive thoughts, bring it, and always one more thing is there, Tom, that you will see socially, psychologically, and otherwise, that people want to associate with happy people.
Yeah.
And that's the theme, that, you be happy, you enjoy, others will follow you. So
it certainly is true. I know that when I'm around a lot of young people, they're so innocent at certain times in their lives, and they have no fear. And when you're around a lot of young people, that kind of gravitates, and you feel really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the world hasn't really gotten to them yet, and and you say they don't fear anything, and it's just so much fun. Like in here in the high school, it's when we have our meetings, it's just great to have the young kids around. They just they have no fear.
Yeah.
And they just go for it. It's great. It rubs off.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Laughter has won over emotions in your stories. What are the reasons for doing that?
Very much on the similar line.
Yeah.
I have a couple of stories which are emotionally charged. There's one story about the piggy bank. There are some stories about the three sisters. Those are very emotionally charged. And Tom, even now when I read them, I kind of cry.
Yeah.
So that's there. But then those are not the main idea. Idea is that, again, laughter is the best medicine, I feel. We all have common thoughts. We forget what we talked about. We had some good times and walked away. That's why throughout the book, I have maintained a very witty style so that people want to see how the language also flows, even though the stories are there, but it's something around characters, just trying to bring that and what people will expect what is coming next. So laughter has been really kind of part so that everybody is enjoy and remembers it, in the longer run, and again revives the sweet memories and so on.
One question I'd like to ask you: what message you want to deliver to the listeners of this television station?
Here is the message: that we are investing in our coming generation, and we must.
Yeah.
But we should not disconnect with our previous generation, our parents, grandparents, our extended family, and always try to reconnect with them with the good values. It increases family value. So that we must invest in our past, if you will.
Right. Okay.
That's the message.
Well, I have one more question for you, and are you writing another book?
I'm always collecting material, Tom,
Yeah.
Especially, let's say I'm listening to NPR, National Public Radio, and I get some good line. I always keep a note with me, whether I'm driving, flying, or, wherever I'm going, just to write the key points, because you forget about them very quickly. And I'll probably advise many people, the people of the younger generation, they can put in iPhone or wherever,
Right.
but just the way to kind of note it down at that moment. And then, so that way, I have collected a lot of material, and I'm just collecting other thoughts. I have, in sincere effort, I have not made to start writing. I've just collected the material, but I'll surely write one more book.
Well, that's good to know, because maybe once you get through with that, we'll do another show. That would be fun, and you can bring Don along again, too.
Yeah, and you will not believe, Tom, what a great neighborhood we have. We all go out, we all meet, we have block parties, and every time humor is the theme. Don.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Has to be, I know it. No, this is great. Well, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful story. It's a great book. And if somebody's interested in knowing a little more about it, you can see it on the credits and get in touch with Prakash.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you, Tom, very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice to
Thank
see
you,
you, Don.
Tom.
Take care. All right.